exception of some who got circumcised later in life, and they do kind of remember, even though they had anesthesia and tranquilizers and wanted their mommy and wanted some yogurt and everything else to get through that period in their life. Still, their point of reference does not capture what happened with Abram, because the Bible says that Abram circumcised himself. The Bible says that Abram went out in the woods and got a sharp rock. Where are my boys at? He got a sharp rock, fellas, and went out in the woods and said, this is how much I'm committed to what God told me. And then he got his son, Isaac, and he said, Isaac, let me show you what it means to be a man of God. And he took his son out there, and he took a sharp rock. Now, where are my boys at? Can you imagine what it might be like? I mean, just look over at a sister and just shake your head. Because she don't understand what I'm saying. But if you're a man in the room, I don't care how mad you get at anybody, you don't want to take a sharp rock. Trust me on this, sisters. This is not how we want to spend a Sunday evening. But the Bible says that this is what Abraham did. And because he had to do it, he then also did it to his son, so that they bore in their body a sign of the covenant that they already had with God. It is this trimming process that starts the 5th chapter of the book of Joshua, when Joshua says to the do-it generation, in order to get what God has for you, you can't walk in and possess the land with your flesh all out of control. You got to deal with yourself. You got to bring yourself up under some sort of order and some sort of boundary. And so he said, you've got to be circumcised. At least they had gotten rid of their rocks and they had sharp knives. And the Bible said that they started passing sharp knives around. No pain pills, no medication, no Excedrin, no Tylenol, but at least it was sharp knives and not sharp rocks. They were passing the knives around, cutting back their flesh. Why are we doing this? Are we doing this to make us a believer? No, they were already believers. They had been born in the wilderness. They had believed God before they were circumcised. Why do you point to that? Because I want you to understand that you can walk with God a long time as a believer and still have flesh in your life. You can walk with God a long time and still have carnality in your life, and God will put up with it for a season. But because God is getting ready to take you into another level and another dimension, he said, now I put up with that before, but before you cross over into the promised land, we got to stop right here and deal with your attitude, your personality, your cussing tongue, your lying spirit, your lustful, whoremongering attitude, because this is as far as you can go without cutting your flesh. Oh, if you think I'm just talking about physical circumcision, you have already missed the message. I'm not talking to you about something you should go to the hospital and do. I'm talking about those fleshly parts of your behavior and your conduct that's stopping you from possessing the promised land. I know the preachers told you that if you gave $29.99 and hopped on one foot 7 times, you was going to get the blessing. But I come to differ with you. You can hop on one foot until you break your shoe. Until you deal with your carnality, God's going to stop you on the backside of your promise and say, you've got to confront the part of your life that's out of control. And the doctor's not going to do it. And the nurse is not going to do it. You've got to circumcise yourself. And so, while they were close enough to the promised land that they could taste the grapes and see the city, they had to stop in Gilgal and deal with themselves. Somebody holler, cut it off. God said, everything that's standing in between you and the blessing that I have for you, it's time for you to cut it off. Everything that you allowed yourself to get by with before while you were in the wilderness, you can't do it now, because I'm getting ready to take you to another level. And new levels have got new devils. And so you got to cut off off the things in the flesh that are stopping you from getting to the next level, because I'm getting ready to bless you. Now, if the blessing is not yours, I'm not talking to you. But whoever it is, that God's already given you a promise that must come to pass in your life. It's time for you to sanctify yourself. Oh, I'm not just talking to the pews. It starts in the pulpit. It starts with the pastors and the elders and the deacons. Sooner or later, you can't just preach to everybody else to get right and not confront yourself. I'm tired of people that's preaching stuff that they will never do, telling me to do stuff that they're not interested in doing themselves. Sooner or later, man of God, you got to cut your own flesh and say, though he slay me, yet shall I trust him. This is how bad I want it. I've got to bring myself up under some kind of control. The next mistake that leaders make is that many times we circumcise ourselves, but we won't circumcise our sons. We let people get too close to us for us to tell them the truth. But every now and then you need to take your little mentee for a little walk down to the woods and say, come here, boy, let me show you what it takes to carry this level of ministry. Let me show you the things you can't say and the places you can't go and the things you can't do if you're going to walk with this kind of glory on your life. It is a commitment in your life. Circumcise yourself. I knew when I got to this you wasn't going to shout too much because you used to name it and claim it and blab it and grab it and stand and confess it, but until you cut it, you can't have it. You got to deal with the things that are stopping you from getting into the next dimension. So circumcising means cutting back that is not necessary, cutting back that I don't need, cutting back that part of me that creates a convenient place for the enemy to attack me. Oh God, cutting back that part of me that's vulnerable to uncleanness, cutting back that part of me that may stop me from being productive. And God says I have to do it myself. He's not going to take it away from me. He's not going to send the angels down to do it. He's not going to send an evangelist in town to do it. I have to take myself for a walk in the woods and get by myself and say, wait a minute, you know too much word to be living like this. You come too far to let the enemy overthrow you like this. You got to get yourself together. I got to stop dancing a minute and confront my tongue and my attitude and my nasty behavior and my hateful way and say, I've been walking with God too long to be this moody and this unstable and this carnal. I've got to cut myself. I got to go through the trimming. Somebody said the trimming. There's a trimming going on right now. There's a trimming going on right now in this building. Some folks you think are acting funny. They're not acting funny. God is just trimming them. They've come to a place now that things I used to do, I can't do no more. Places I used to go, I can't go anymore. God's getting ready to take me to the next level, and I don't want to mess myself up. I'm on the verge of a breakthrough, and I can't afford to go back into the wilderness and go through what I've already been through before.